Hello, I'm Annette Young and welcome to the 51%, a show about women reshaping our world. Coming up, we meet two young women in northeastern Nigeria who are now facing isolations from their families after being kidnapped by Boko Haram. Also, taking on the Don Drapers of the ad world. We talk to Madonna Badger, who's behind a powerful campaign to stop her advertising colleagues from objectifying women. And the Saudi TV host who seems to have no fear as she takes on the country's ultra-conservative religious establishment. But we begin in northeastern Nigeria, where communities live in fear of the jihadist group Boko Haram. The most vulnerable are young women who, if kidnapped, are most likely to be raped. In this report, we meet two survivors who are now facing condemnation from their families because they fell pregnant after being raped.
This cute little girl was born as a result of rape. Her mother was 13 years old when she was captured with a friend by Boko Haram militants. They were held in captivity for 10 months, during which they were gang raped time and time again.
They usually came out at night after our lessons. Even if we refused, they wouldn't let us escape.
And finally, one day in February last year, they were freed by government soldiers. But their rescuers soon became a new terrible enemy.
The army brought us outside and made us lie down on the road because they thought we were Boko Haram wives. They told us that the army tank would crush us if we didn't tell the truth. I was scared because there were guns everywhere.
The girls ended up sitting in prison for 8 months, and that's where Yana's daughter was born, behind bars. Today, the girls live in a refugee camp like this one, along with 2 million other Nigerians fleeing the violence. Their babies are regarded as Boko Haram children, rejected by their own relatives and the community in general.
When they adopted these girls, they make them as their wives, they pregnant them. When they pregnant them, when they give birth now, their son become Boko Haram too. So the population of Boko Haram will increase.
But for these mothers, love has triumphed over barbarity. They say they'll never part from their children, born as a result of rape.
Now, open any glossy magazine, switch on the TV or click on a website and you're most likely going to find ads that do their best to objectify women. But one New York advertising executive has had enough. Madonna Badger, who also has her own ad agency, has created a campaign that's gone viral. It's called, appropriately enough, Women Not Objects, and showcases some of the worst examples in advertising. Let's take a look.
I love giving blowjobs to sandwiches.
I love sacrificing my dignity for a drink.
I love sleeping with guys that don't know my name.
The pursuit of happiness, just as our forefathers wanted.
When my daughter grows up, that she has friends just like these.
And Madonna Badger joins me now from New York. Madonna, thank you so much for being with us. What made you come up with the idea?
Since 2007, my business partner, Jim Winters, and I have really believed that the true way to have innovation in marketing is by having empathy with the consumer that you're trying to reach. And empathy specifically, in our case, for women, since that's mostly who we advertise to for our clients. And we were working on a beauty project, and wondering why all of the ads looked identical to one another. And we Googled objectification in advertising. And quite frankly, we were shocked, not only at the plethora of ads, but also of the many, many, many different companies that objectify women as a form of advertising. And so that was really the beginning for us of feeling like, wow, we need to do something about this.
But surely the advertising industry has changed since the days of Don Draper-style characters, given that there are more and more women now in the workforce.
one would think that given that we make up 47% of the workforce in the U.S., one would think that advertising would change, but in fact, it has only gotten worse. And, you know, I objectified men and women when I was the art director at Calvin Klein in 1991. Unknowingly, you know, I was 27 at the time. I didn't really understand the harm at that point. But we also didn't have the internet. We didn't have social media, which has really made for an explosion of where these ads are now everywhere. And so since that time, since 1991, forget about Mad Men and that sort of an era. I mean, the way that women are now shown seriously as objects with no voice and no choice, or as provocative body parts, or overly retouched to the point of human unachievability, that there doesn't seem to be a lot of compassion. So if we look at an ad, for example, and say, what if that was my mom or my sister? How would that make me feel? Or my daughter?
Madonna, however, surely there are women involved in the decision-making process in giving the go-ahead for those campaigns to be published or put to air.
Absolutely. The head of marketing at Stuart Weitzman is a woman. And their latest ad campaign shows three, interchangeable nude women with a logo put across them in shoes and only shoes. And, it's just a horror. It's a horror.
Well, what has been the response to your campaign?
The response has been amazing. We have over 550 million media impressions, which is astonishing to me, and I'm so happy about. I think we've really touched a nerve. I think that people are really fed up, and that we came at a time that is really a tipping point in the world where young women, older women, all of us are fed up with being 47% of the workforce, with being, women. We are the ones that have babies and raise children. I mean, we should be getting so much more respect.
So, Madonna, what exactly do you want to see come out of this campaign?
Well, I'm happy with the results that we've gotten so far. I think my goal is to absolutely stop and have a zero-tolerance policy for objectification of women, of men, of anyone in advertising. That for me and for my agency and for many, many, many creatives that have reached out to me, there is a better way. There is a more creative way. There is a smarter way. And that advertising, is only evil when it does evil things. That's what David Ogilvy said, the ultimate madman. And, that's my belief as well. I think that advertising can really be a great force for good. And when we see ads like Mini Cooper and Defy Labels, and we see ads like Always and Run Like a Girl and reminding us who we are as girls, these are things that really connect to people's brand, to connect to people's values, and that brands can connect to people's values in a much stronger and more meaningful way. So that's my belief, and zero tolerance is my goal.
I'm afraid we've run out of time. Thank you so much, Madonna Badger.
Thank you.
And moving on, and Saudi Arabia's human rights record, especially in regards to protecting women, is often called into question. While the situation is incrementally changing, for instance, women were allowed to vote in municipal elections for the first time last year, their actions are still severely restricted. Some have sought self-imposed exile in the neighbouring United Arab Emirates, such as the Saudi journalist Madonna Badger. And in seeking out the truth on her TV show, she attracts both accolades and criticism. Our team on the ground went to meet the television host.
Like every Saturday in Abu Dhabi, this Saudi anchor is getting ready to go live. Her name is Madonna Badger. In her home country, Saudi Arabia, women are forced to wear the abaya, a black veil that covers their entire body. So to avoid that, she moved to the neighboring Emirates. But even there, wearing a skirt is a political statement.
It's discrimination. Men can wear whatever they want, and we're forced to cover ourselves. God would have created me with a veil if he wanted me to wear one.
Nadine's received death threats and intimidations at several occasions, but it hasn't stopped her from addressing taboos on her show, broadcast in Saudi Arabia. 2 years ago, a Saudi historian sparked outrage when he justified a ban on women driving in the country by pointing to security concerns.
If a woman is driving the car and the car breaks down, what will happen to her?
But women drive in the US and in other parts of the Arab world.
But they don't care if they're raped on the roadside, but we do.
And there's no danger of women being raped by their male chauffeurs?
Yes, so I propose to bring in female foreign chauffeurs to drive our wives.
A suggestion which greatly amused the TV host. Nadine uses taxis to get around town, but it's by choice. She says all women should be given the right to drive.
During debates on women driving, critics ask you to provide scientific studies to prove it's important for them to drive. But all of this is ridiculous. I want to drive because it's my right, full stop.
In Saudi Arabia, every woman has a male guardian, and she needs his approval to travel, study, and work. Last December, Saudi women were able to vote for the very first time in local elections, a symbolic victory for Nadine, who is striving to change mentalities.
And that's it for now. And if you'd like to comment on what you've just seen, you can head to our Facebook page, that's 51%-France24, or do send us a tweet at _51%. Thanks for your feedback so far, and please do keep those comments coming in. So until our next program, bye for now.